The time is 8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Lal Malavarachi and read by Tilani Pires. The Public Utility Commission says no scheduled power cuts under the new methodology. India HC hands over 40,000 empty fuel consignment to Sri Lanka. 1,252 new COVID-19 cases and 30 deaths were reported today. The government is to promote non-motorized modes of transport. A wheat flour subsidy for plantation worker families. And on foreign news, Russia pulls some troops back from Ukraine border. And on sports news, Australia wins the T20 series against Sri Lanka. The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka says there will be no scheduled power cuts in the near future as per the new methodology. Addressing a media briefing today, PUCSL's chairman Janaka Ratnayaka noted that power stations should receive fuel regularly. However, the Commission had previously announced that the electricity supply will have to be interrupted daily from today in order to conserve water reservoirs and due to the lack of fuel to operate power stations. The Commission took this decision based on the assumption that the fuel would be available without interruption and that generators would not malfunction. The PUCSL chairman said they would not be compelled to impose power cuts if there is a regular fuel supply, as well as generators that function properly. India's High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Gopal Bagle, handed over 40,000 empty fuel consignment by the Indian Oil Corporation, IOC, to Energy Minister Udaya Gammanpilla today. India-Sri Lanka partnership continues to work towards energy security of Sri Lanka, the High Commission tweeted. The Minister of Ports and Shipping, Rohita Abegunawardena, said the Indian tanker ship Swarna Pushpa carrying 38,000 empty diesel arrived at the port of Colombo last night. He said steps will be taken to immediately unload the consignment and hand over the fuel to the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. Energy Minister Udaya Gammanpilla, speaking to the media, said they are ready to provide the required diesel to the Ceylon Electricity Board. The government is planning to integrate non-motorized transport with the Sri Lankan transport system to maximize economic and environmental benefits. The current number of active vehicles in Sri Lanka is over 5 million, more than 3 times the year 2000 as a result of the increase in the importation of private vehicles such as cars, motorcycles and three-wheelers, a statement from the government read. The rapid growth in private car use has led to a decline in the contribution of non-motorized modes of transport. The use of non-motorized transport has a positive effect on reducing air pollution as well as on health, air quality, environment, climate change and personal finances. Accordingly, following steps will be taken under a joint approach. Marking of bicycle lanes suitable for existing roads and upgrading of existing pedestrian lanes. Steps to include bicycle and pedestrian lanes for future roads, taking necessary measures to encourage the use of bicycles for the staff of government offices. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Director General of Health Services has confirmed another 30 coronavirus-related deaths for February 14th, pushing the country's death toll due to the virus pandemic to 15,874. The deaths reported today include 20 males and 10 females. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry reported that another 1,252 persons have tested positive for COVID-19 today. This increases the tally of COVID-19 cases registered in the country thus far to 630,599, while over 19,000 patients infected with the virus are currently undergoing treatment across the island. The Cabinet of Ministers granted approval to the government to provide a wheat flour subsidy for estate worker families. The approval of the Cabinet of Ministers has been granted to the Cabinet Memorandum submitted by the Minister of Finance, Basil Rajapaksa, under the caption Implementation of Proposals to Minimize Economic Constraints confronted by the public at the Cabinet meeting held on the 18th of January 2022. As per the recommendations, the Cabinet of Ministers approved the resolution submitted by the Minister of Trade for providing 15 kilograms of flour for 115,867 beneficiary families on a monthly basis. That ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddha Lepa Veda Mahatmya.
The health sector trade unions have decided to temporarily call off their strike for 14 days from tomorrow morning. Co-convener of the Federation of Health Professionals, Ravi Kumudesh, said that all 18 trade unions have decided to temporarily call off the strike from tomorrow. The strike launched by several health sector trade unions continued for the 9th day today, causing severe hardships to the patients. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And on Watchlight tonight, the police said officers in charge of police stations across the country have been instructed to conduct raids on parties organized at hotels and other places with drugs. Police spokesman SSP Nihal Thalduwa said that police intelligence officers in respective areas have been notified to find the places where such illegal parties are being organized and to inform the OICs in those areas. That came to you in Watchlight. Coming up, world news and the headlines first. Russia pulls some troops back from Ukraine border. The UN urges diplomatic solution to Ukraine crisis. The police surround Honduran ex-leader's home. Russia says it is pulling back some of its troops from near Ukraine after a build-up raised fears of an invasion. The defense ministry said that large-scale drills continued, but some units were returning to their bases. There has been no independent confirmation of the withdrawal, and international powers have reacted cautiously to the announcement. More than 100,000 Russian troops have massed at Ukraine's border. Russia has always denied it is planning an attack. The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has called for a diplomatic solution to the crisis surrounding Ukraine and said the United Nations will also make an effort to achieve it. The UN's chief spokesman amid increasing concern of Western powers over the likelihood of a Russian invasion of Ukraine. Guterres spoke online separately with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba yesterday. The police in the Honduran capital, Tegucigalpa, have surrounded the house of ex-president Juan Orlando Hernandez. The officers were deployed hours after the US requested his extradition on drugs charges, which he denies. The Honduran security minister said Mr. Hernandez was inside his home and that police had been told to surround it to prevent an escape while they waited for an arrest warrant to be issued. Mr. Hernandez governed Honduras from 2014 to January this year. Back to the world news headlines. Russia pulls some troops back from Ukraine border. The UN urges diplomatic solution to Ukraine crisis. The police surround Honduran ex-leader's home. That ends world news.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take coal out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
And on development news, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa is scheduled to inspect the country's first technology park near the Pinnaduwa entrance on the Southern Expressway in Galle on Thursday. 5 technology parks will be set up island-wide in line with the Prosperity Vision policy statement. Technology parks will also be established in Kurunegala, Kandy, Nuwara and Habarana. That came to you in development news.
Development News was brought to you by The coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928. Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
The third T20 between Sri Lanka and Australia was played in Canberra today. Batting first, Sri Lanka scored 121 for 6 wickets in 20 overs. In reply, Australia scored 124 for 4 wickets in 16.5 overs. Accordingly, Australia won the match by 6 wickets and also won the 5-match series. Novak Djokovic has said he would rather miss out on future tennis trophies than be forced to get a COVID vaccine. Speaking exclusively to the BBC, he said he should not be associated with the anti-vax movement but supported an individual's right to choose. Djokovic was asked if he would sacrifice taking part in competitions such as Wimbledon and the French Open over his stance on the vaccine. The 20-time Grand Slam winner was deported from Australia last month after the government cancelled his visa in a row over his vaccine status. That came to you in Sports News.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
According to the Producer Price Index measured by the Census and Statistics Department, Sri Lanka's producer prices had increased by 16.6% from a year ago. Meanwhile, the monthly producer prices rose by 2.5% in December from 2.6% in November, reflecting some easing price pressures in the next few months. That was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
And on economic news, the European Union delegation to Sri Lanka has allocated funds to help strengthen the local wellness tourism capacity for Sri Lanka to transform into an attractive destination for wellness tourism. This will be carried out under the guidance of Sri Lanka Tourism. Sri Lanka Wellness Tourism Stakeholder Project will be officially launched today. That came to you in economic news. And to conclude the weather report, the Met Department says except for a few showers in the southern province, mainly fair weather will prevail over the island. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central, north central and Uva provinces during the morning. That was the weather report. And now to end this news broadcast, the main points once again. The Public Utility Commission says no scheduled power cuts under the new methodology. India High Commissioner hands over 40,000 empty fuel consignment to Sri Lanka. 1,252 new COVID-19 cases and 30 deaths were reported today. The government is to promote non-motorized modes of transport. Wheat flour subsidy for plantation worker families. And on foreign news, Russia pulls some troops back from the Ukraine border. And on sports news, Australia wins the T20 series against Sri Lanka. That ends this news broadcast.